Good morning. It's Monday, November 24th, and Portland, Oregon feels like Silent Hill right now. It's super foggy and cold today, but I had to drive my kid all the way across town for class. I'm still not feeling super hot. I actually took all of yesterday off of work. I think yesterday might be the first day since the inauguration where I didn't work. I'm still fighting this chest crud, and on top of it, because I'm up coughing at night and my sleep's all disrupted, I ended up getting a really bad migraine, which means that my brain is still rebooting a little bit. If I misspeak in videos today, y'all are just gonna have some grace for me, please, please, please. I have said before in videos that I have familial hemiplegic migraine disorder, and that means when I get a particularly bad migraine that I look like I have a stroke. My left arm and my left leg don't work right, and my brain doesn't work right. So yesterday I was just like in bed the entire day, which is unheard of for me. I could not function. I couldn't really use the left side of my body, and I was completely out of it. It's funny because the day before on Saturday, one of my friends was texting me, she's like, you are just running yourself into the ground, and why are you still working? I worked all last week, even though I was really sick. And she was like, why are you working so much? You are going to burn out, like your body's going to hit a wall. And I know for all of us, just existing in 2025 America is a constant stress on our bodies. Our cortisol level is already up here. I don't know about y'all, but I have two autoimmune diseases, and they have just been flaring nonstop all year. My sleep is disrupted, my eating is disrupted, so my migraines are worse. Our immune systems are under all of this stress. And at the same time, we have less access to healthcare. What healthcare we can get is more expensive. We have less access to good nutrition, and just it's so much more stress. Right, so Saturday, my friend is texting me like, "What? Why are you working while you're sick?" Well, I have my own pathology. I have my own Protestant work ethic and my own compulsive need to constantly be working. My mom always said you can either be sick in bed or you can be sick at work. Either way, you're sick, so you might as well be productive. That is sort of what informs my mindset, and I definitely tell other people, do as I say, not as I do. Like, I don't think that is a healthy way to be. It is just so ingrained in me that I don't know how to have any chill. And this is something I really struggle with, right? How do we find the balance between needing to rest and take care of ourselves as best we can, while also understanding there is an element of urgency, understanding that we are in a race against fascism, that they are trying to consolidate power. They are trying to wreck everything as quickly as they can, and we are trying to build a mass movement to resist it as quickly as we can. How do you balance the fact that they want you exhausted, they want you malnourished, they want you to feel completely worn out so that you are running on fumes, removing all of the social safety nets, making it so that we are much more financially precarious, we have less access to good food, less access to healthcare, we're more worried about our children, our cortisol levels are up here. All of that is intentional because then you don't have the reserves, you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have the capability of organizing to fight back. They want you running on fumes all of the time. So I am constantly weighing, like, where is the line? Where is the line? How do we treat rest as resistance with also understanding that there is a need to act? There is an urgency. There is shit that we have to get done. Rest and self-care is not complacency, but at the same time, we have to sacrifice in order to stop fascism, right? We can either choose to give up things in this moment, or so much more will be taken away from us in the time to come. And I really struggle with that. I don't do well with figuring out where that limit is. I don't do well with assessing a need for rest, and I tend to then hit a wall and not be able to meet obligations like my body says for me. Actually, we're done. You can't keep going on 3 hours of sleep, or you can't keep going with this level of intense stress. We'll just throw a big fat migraine on you. So again, please understand, I think rest is really important. Am I good at accessing that for myself? No. Should you want to emulate my level of just go and go and go until you crash? No. So I took all day yesterday off, but that's because my body forced me to, not because I would have made that choice to rest. But all of that conversation, I think, ties in very much with discourse that is happening on TikTok around Wicked. I'm not a Wicked fan. I haven't seen the Wicked movies, but it's interesting to me to see when I opened up TikTok this morning, just like video after video after video about how people are concerned that pro-Anna content is coming back, that skinny is super in, and that's really, really unhealthy. And earlier this year, I actually made 2 videos on that subject, and they got a lot of pushback. I was talking about how skinny is always in under fascism, because in a fascist state, they want to control you. They want to control, especially control women, right? They don't want us having the energy, the bandwidth to organize and resist. They don't want women taking up space, right? They want you to shrink your body smaller and smaller so that you take up less space. At the same time, they want you completely preoccupied with policing your own body size, worrying about what other people think about your body size, worrying about what other people perceive as the level of space, the quantity of space that you take up in the real world. And if you're constantly policing your own body, policing what kind of food, what quantity of food you put into your body, tracking calories, constantly thinking about exercising to become smaller, then you are preoccupied and you have less bandwidth, less capacity to organize to resist fascism. Not only that, but if you're policing your own body all of the time, it becomes much easier to start policing other people's bodies as well, especially when there's an element of jealousy of like, how come she's allowed to be that size and I feel like I have to be thinner? How come she's allowed to eat that and I feel like I can't? It benefits a fascist regime. It benefits the patriarchy when we are smaller and weaker, when we are exhausted because we are malnourished. We're not getting enough food into our bodies. When you aren't getting enough nutrition, when your blood sugar is low, when you are malnourished, you have that brain fog, you're not able to access all of your mental faculties in the same way, and you're not able to get your body to do what you want. You hit that wall much earlier. And when I said that earlier this year, people didn't like that. They're like, there's no connection between fascism and thinness. I think now that we are 11 and a half months in to this nightmare, that it's pretty obvious that pro-Anna content is coming back. It's pretty obvious that skinny is in under fascism. And I think it's important that we are aware of the fact that they want us exhausted. They want us depleted so that we are far less likely to be able to organize and resist. Just like they want you to be hopeless, they want you to be sleep deprived and malnourished. Just like they want you to be emotionally and mentally exhausted, they want your body depleted and exhausted. So whether your struggle is like mine, where you just feel compelled to go and go and go and go until your body tells you to stop, or whether you feel susceptible to the kind of pro-Anna, shrink yourself, make yourself smaller, police your body all of the time content that is being put out, we've got to have self-awareness about the ways that they are trying to control our minds and our bodies to make us more compliant, to make us so exhausted that we cannot do the necessary work that we need to do. What does that look like? To not only acknowledge that those are tactics that they're using, but then to effectively resist those tactics. What does it look like to embrace rest as resistance, to embrace enjoying food, finding pleasure in food? What does it look like to embrace self-acceptance of our bodies, to love our own bodies, to love ourselves? In permaculture, we have 3 ethics: earth care, people care, and fair share. And in the before times, I talked a lot about how people care is not just extending care and compassion to other people, it's also caring for yourself. Because we are all interconnected, right? If we run ourselves into the ground, that impacts our relationships with other people, with the causes that we care about. Maybe you are somebody like me who has a very, very hard time engaging in self-care, in taking care, being good to yourself, just because that is something that you should be doing. Maybe you have similar kind of Protestant work ethic. Maybe you've been told your whole life, as many women, especially women who come out of evangelical America, have been told our whole lives, that we are a sacrifice, that our pain, our suffering, our deprivation is for the good of our children, for the good of the greater society, for the good of the community. Maybe it is hard for you to access self-care. Maybe, like me, it is hard for you to be good to yourself, to love yourself, just because that is the right thing to do. I often find it's easier for me to set limits to my own tendency to run myself into the ground when I realize that I am connected to other people. That has ramifications for the organizing work that I do, for my family, that I want to be available. I want to be able to give of myself in a way that is good and balanced. And so if you can't necessarily set limits for yourself, if you can't necessarily prescribe good, nourishing food and sufficient rest for yourself, Think about the ways that running yourself into the ground has negative consequences for the people that you love and the causes that you care about. Let's understand they want us skinny, depleted, exhausted, too tired to do what needs to be done in this race to save our democracy. And we're not going to give them that because we don't give them any victories, right? They can't win if we keep fighting, so we have to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to fight.